Hello everyone, hope you're doing fine. So today I wanted to show you my Thorns Necromancer I've been working on. It's actually really fun, and it's not as bad as you may think. I've seen a lot of Thorns Necromancer guides out there, or well, not a lot because there aren't really that many, but I've seen some, and they all seem to play pretty much with minions. And I hate minions. I hate pets in general. In every game I play, I think the AI always suck, and I always think minions suck. So yeah, this is not a minion Thorns Necromancer. This is just you doing the damage. And yeah, let's jump in. So there's one thing I want to point out with this build before we get into the gear and skill points and stuff, and that is you probably won't push more than maybe tier 80 nightmare maps with this build. I really don't see it going into the like 90s, 100s, and I don't ever see this build clearing Uber Lilith or killing Uber Lilith, alright? Just to make that clear. But with that being said, this build is the best I've leveled with across any character. And yes, I do have the Lily statues and I do have the Paragon points from the Renown since I have a Druid since before, like my main. But I also played my Barbarian and my Rogue and tried leveling them, and this build has been the best by far, alright, by far. Almost no gear requirements, and also I did clear tier 22 maps, 23 maps at level 52. That means when I was level 52, I was clearing Torment 4 or World Tier 4, if you will. So this build is actually very strong in the early game and also in the mid game, I guess you can call it. So I want to start with the skill points and skills for this video. And as you can see on the screen here, we go into Reap. Reap is really nice. It gives us 15% damage reduction for 2 seconds. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it is a lot. Trust me, it's nice. It's nice to have. I took Enhanced Reap and then Acolyte's Reap. And this one is really nice when you're leveling up the character and when you're low level. The power of this talent, or whatever you want to call it, uh, gets worse and worse the higher level you get because we're getting huge flesh and you're getting more lucky hit on your gear, you're getting all those kinds of stuff. You're gonna proc more corpses, you're gonna get more damage, you're gonna kill more stuff, you're gonna. So yeah, you get what I mean. You get my point. With that being said, I still like having Acolyte's Reap. It's not the best, but it's nice. Especially at low levels, it's very nice to have. We don't really have that many skill points that are super important either, so we don't really have that much to invest in. But this is the basic ability we're taking for now. I want to get into one thing later with Bone Splinters, um, but let's move on for now. So we're taking Blight here as a core skill, and the reason is we want Enhanced Blight, which slows enemies, which is nice. One thing to keep in mind is this slow does not slow the attack speed of the enemies, which is good for us. We want to get hit. We don't want enemies to be slowed or stunned. So this just applies a crowd control to them, which if you have crowd control damage gear, you will deal more damage to them when they have that or when they're slowed. Then we take Supernatural Blight, which gives us more damage to enemies within our Blight. So Blight makes this big pool on the ground, and when enemies are in it, they take more damage from us. And this one works with Thorns, which is very nice for us. We don't have many ways to increase our Thorns damage, or like from our gear or like skills. So having something that can increase our Thorns damage or like our damage overall is very nice because it's gonna apply to our Thorns. Huge Flesh, I picked this up right now. I've only ran like one dungeon with it. It's nice to have. It's not gonna make or break the build. If you wanna have this, you can take it. I previously had my points into Iron Maiden, but I'm gonna talk about Iron Maiden later and why you might not wanna have points in it or have it at all. So, but a huge flesh is nice. It's nice to have. Moving on, I went with spiked armor. Obviously, we're thorns, so we want a lot of thorns. That's nice. We took Grim Harvest, only to get down to Fueled by Death, and again, we deal increased damage after consuming a corpse. This applies to our thorns, which is nice. Um, and one thing to know about these damage multipliers as well is they also apply, so they apply to our thorns, which in turn applies to our legendary aspect, which makes our thorns deal like AoE damage, which is very nice. So we can get quite high damage, to be honest. Um, Moving on, Corpse Explosion. I put points in here because I don't know. Again, we don't have that many important points to put in, and I use Corpse Explosion a lot. I like to have it. It's some bonus damage. It's not the end of the world. It's not It's not broken or anything. It's just nice to have. Enhanced Corpse Explosion for bigger radius, which is nice, and Blighted Corpse Explosion for shadow damage. So I'm gonna talk about this a bit later as well when we get to the key passive, but we wanna deal shadow damage, and I'll explain later. Moving on down to curse skills here, we have Death's Reach. I have rank 6 because I have 3 on my amulet. And you may wonder, why do you have Death's Reach? We're a Thorns Necro, we want to be close range, you get hit. Well, Thorns works on long range enemies as well. So that's nice. It works on banshees, it works on, archers, whatever we want to call it. So it's nice to have this one. You don't need 6 points in it. It's enough with 3. But I happen to have it on my amulet, so this is what I have. We have Death's Embrace. Close enemies take more damage, and they deal less damage. Very nice to have. Amplify damage. You see, I'm playing double curse here. I think 2 curses stacks with this. I think you get 2 times the damage here. I am not sure. I played around with it a bit and I feel like it did. And again, this is nice because we're gonna deal more damage with our thorns, right? But there is one thing to this. And that is, and it saddens me to say this, but Iron Maiden is trash. This is really a bad ability, alright? The only thing this is good for is Enhanced Iron Maiden to give us Essence, and also Abhorrent Iron Maiden, which can give us a heal. And you can see I am not playing that myself. It's because I am lazy, and also because I've been playing around with it, and I just don't. I've had this, and every showcase video on this build, I've been playing Iron Maiden, but it's just not good, man. Like it's decent on low level when you're leveling up and you don't have a lot of thorns, but as soon as you get your Razorplate, you're gonna get you get higher up in your levels. It's not good. It sucks. This one looks good. Like 20% multiplicative damage when at least 3 enemies are afflicted by Iron Maiden. It looks amazing. I tested this. I think my Iron Maiden went from 1.5k to like 2k damage or something. Like, if even that, like it's super bad to have. I'm not gonna lie. I wish that Iron Maiden may be added on top of your thorns because it currently doesn't. In that case, it would at least be useful somewhat if you're playing like a thorns build. But right now, if you have 10,000 thorns, you get hit by an enemy, you deal 10k, and you afflict them by Iron Maiden, they take 1.5k, depending on your rank, of course. 1.2 to 1.5 is what mine is doing right now, but it's absolutely bad. It's not the best, to be honest. You could remove Iron Maiden and go for Blood Mist if you're gonna try hard and push higher keys or Nightmare Sigils. Sorry, Tears. My bad. I've been playing too much WoW. You could do that. Blood Mist is nice. And I do find when we fight Cold Enchanted with this build, it sucks being in CC. That's for every class that doesn't have like an unstoppable. You're just permanently stunned and it's so boring. Please, Blizzard, fix. But luckily we can kill them when we are stunned, unless we die, of course. But yeah, you can take points out of Iron Maiden and put them into Blood Mist if you want, or even Bone Prison. And I want to talk about Bone Prison as well, because I don't think I did right. We don't have Vulnerable on this build, which is very sad. Vulnerable damage, if you don't know by now, is absolutely broken in this game. And we don't have a way to apply it, so it means we're losing out a lot of power. Um, so that's not good. I did play around with Bone Prison. I don't like it. It sucks in my opinion. The Bone Prison dies in like 1 second. You're gonna have Vulnerable up for like 1 second, and the problem is this is not we're not a bone necromancer. You can't put up a bone prison, apply vulnerable, and then shoot out your bone spirit or whatever, or bone spear, and just one shot everything. We need to get hit in order to deal damage, right? So like stacking up enemies on you and then using bone, like they will hit the bone prison, they will hit the walls of the bone prison, and then the vulnerable will get like it won't work. I don't know, man. I tried this. I don't like it. I don't like it. And I'm gonna talk more about vulnerable and bone splinters basic ability later. Moving on, anyways, we go to Corpse de Macabre, and again, the second tree here. We have Gruesome Mending, more healing when we're low health or below 50%. It's nice, I guess. I took that. Necrotic Carapace, I don't know, I took 1 point in this. I don't know if we don't have much more to put in. I don't know. I guess it's nice. 45. Do whatever you want with that one. Reaper Pursuit for some movement speed and also because we want to get to these two. But yeah, you can max this out if you want for more movement speed. I didn't feel like it was necessary, but you can take points and put in here if you want. Gloom, we deal some more shadow damage. It's nice. It's not the best uh, thing ever. We don't have that much shadow damage. Like we have much shadow damage, but we don't deal too much damage with our shadow damage. So since we're not a shadow build, right? Terror also again damage bonus. It's just some extra damage. It's nice. Um, Moving on to our ultimate here. We're taking Bone Storm and Prime Bone Storm, which gives us damage reduction while it's active. We're also playing the legendary imprint, which makes our Bone Storm deal shadow damage, and I'm gonna get to that as well. We take Standalone for more damage reduction. We don't play with minions, so we have this maximized all the time, which is nice. Memento Mori. The sacrifice bonuses are not super insane for us, but it is nice to have. So, and again, we don't have that much more to put our points in, so it's nice to have this one. And lastly, we go with the Shadow Blight key passive, alright? And while Shadow Blight in itself is not really amazing, you deal some more damage, whatever, and the Shadow Blight damage in itself is kind of bad. We are playing this because when the Shadow Blight procs, like the 10th time they receive shadow damage, we get 99% increased damage for 6 seconds, which applies to our thorns and also to our AoE thorns, the needle flare aspect, as you can see here. Um, I wish I could get this in 120%. I only have 99, but this one is essentially what makes our thorns be able to deal so much damage. And of course, this improves our damage on Iron Maiden as well, so it's gonna get a lot higher, I guess. But still, going back to Iron Maiden, I don't think it's really worth to have. So to put it in perspective, my Iron Maiden deals around 2k damage. I've been talking too much. It deals around 2k damage, uh, and my passive Thorns damage is around 60k, 50k. It's not amazing. Iron Maiden is not amazing. Speaking of basic skills and vulnerable damage, so since we don't have a way to apply this, you can, if you feel like you don't want damage reduction or reap, you could pick Bone Splinters and then take this one, Initiate Bone Splinters. And you just spam Bone Splinters for vulnerable damage. This could be good against bosses, so we get more damage against bosses, but also at the same time, I don't know, I mean, I guess you could, to be honest, if you want. I don't know. I played with Reef. I did like to have Reef, especially early game, but I mean, now maybe you could uh, take Bone Splinters. But again, this gives us damage reduction. It's really nice since we're gonna be tanking a lot of damage. Um, but yeah, alright, so moving on to gear. This is what I'm playing right now. Cooldown reduction, max life, ranks of Iron Maiden, total armor. In a perfect world, we want to have cooldown reduction, max life, intellect, or decrepify ranks, and total armor. Cooldown reduction is nice. It's not the best for this build, like it is for many other builds, but it is nice if you can get it. Max life is super nice. We get more tankiness, and armor is obviously also more tankiness, so that's nice. Iron Maiden is useless, so I don't know. If you can get intellect, that's good. And we're of course having the might imprint. So whenever we use a basic skill, we get 20% damage reduction, and this one synergizes really well with Reap. So that's the imprint we want. For our gems, we are using green gems in our entire gear, which is giving us more damage. Unless you are gonna push high keys, then you might want to swap out the green gems to what's it called? Topazes, the orange gems, which makes it so that whenever you're crowd controlled, you take less damage. You take less damage. But that's only if you're pushing really high. I never feel vulnerable even when I'm crowd controlled at lower tiers. I'm still everything is just dying anyways. So Yeah, I like to have thorns, green gems, but you can play around with it, with whatever you want. Moving on to the armor, this is obviously not what we want to have. You want to get Razorplate if you can. This armor is actually really bad, but I just want to showcase in this video because this is something that similar to what I had. I had thorns, I had some life, and then I had like damage reduction or damage. I can't remember exactly, but this is what I was running around with. Um, and I can't even remember what imprint I had, but you can play around with that one as well. Obviously, if you can find Razorplate and you have it, then you should play it. This is what I have. But as you can see, it says required level 69, which means I found this at level 69. So up until that point, I was playing with a legendary armor that did not have amazing stats, right? It only had some thorns and life pretty much. So this build is viable. So keep in mind, I started clearing 22 maps, 23 maps. That is world tier 4 at level 52. So you're not like the build is not bricked because you don't have Razorplate. I just want to point that out. Um, so something with life, thorns, whatever, damage reduction, damage if you can get that on your armor, or of course if you have Razorplate, you should play that. For gloves, this is what I'm having as well when I'm showcasing this build. Some stats, strength, damage to injured enemies, blight ranks, doesn't really matter. I guess it's some extra damage, that's nice. If you're playing legendary gloves, you should play the conceit aspect, which makes it so whenever you have a barrier up, you get more damage, because this scales with your thorns. And this is probably what I will change to later when I find some better, or when I find a better conceit aspect. As you can see, this one is terrible. So yeah, otherwise just put something, whatever you want on your gloves. I'm playing Fist of Fate myself, to be honest, but Fist of Fate are really bad for this build. It says that your attacks randomly deal 1 to 290% damage of their normal damage. The problem is this doesn't work with thorns. If it did, it would actually be kind of good, I think. But it doesn't, so they pretty much don't do anything for me. But that's what I have. I get some heal when I hit some lucky hits, and then I get some resource, primary resource. And primary resource for this build is not really important, so yeah. But this is what I've been using Fist of Fate. I'm gonna use these gloves in the video. I also played around with Hull from below when I was low level or lower level. But I'm gonna be honest, I really don't like these gloves, and the reason is they have a chance to stun and fear enemies. It is incredibly annoying when that happens, and it happens more than you think. So I don't know. This I actually used them, and I did level a couple of levels with them. But in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have. I just made it some worse for me. The only thing these ones are nice for, these gloves, is the corpse skill attack speed, which helps us proc the Paragon node we have, like the legendary node, and then also fueled by death, the skill that makes us whenever we consume a corpse, we get more damage. Otherwise, these gloves suck as well. So just get some legendary gloves with some intellect maybe if you can. And yeah. For our legs, we want damage reduction as much as we can, thorns and max life. I have all stats on these ones. If I could get that to like damage reduction, that would be nice. But this is what I have currently. We have disobedient imprint on these gloves. I mean legs, which is very nice. We want disobedience at least on one item. So that one is huge. For our boots, we are using the void thingy, the void aspect, which makes it so that whenever we use blight, we pull in enemies. This one is really nice, especially if you actually pull the enemies. I'm gonna show you later what I mean by that. But this imprint is actually very nice, and it's also another reason to why you should play blight. We have dexterity, we have damage reduction while injured, and movement speed and willpower. I am very like we're so tanky, so I'm pretty much never injured when doing content my level. But if you're pushing higher, of course it's nice to have the damage reduction while injured thingy. Movement speed is always nice. If we can get intellect on boots, that would be nice as well, but I don't, so it's fine. Moving on to our weapon. I am playing a dagger, and you should try to find a dagger if you can. Thorns can't crit unless you have a lethal shrine. And damage over time can crit, so we can't crit with anything except Bone Storm. And since Bone Storm is not dealing that much damage, it's not important. So swords kind of suck for us. And then we have scythes, which makes it so that whenever we kill something, we get life. And that is actually not that bad, to be honest. It's kind of nice. But I want more damage, so I picked a dagger. If you can find a dagger, that would be good. But I mean, if you have a really nice sword, I mean, you can play sword as well. We just want intellect here. That's the most important part. All stats if that's possible. But yeah, and damage to slowed and damage to injury is always nice. Ultimate skill damage doesn't really do anything for me here, but that's what this weapon had. We're having the sacrificial aspect on this one, which makes our sacrifice bonuses increase. It's always a nice bonus. And I gemmed this with damage over time. I mean, we're not dealing that much damage over time or like shadow damage. So I don't know, maybe a skull would be better in the weapon, but this is what I'm running currently and what I have been running, and it works out great. For our shield, we're playing obviously a shield because we get thorns by default, and then we can roll thorns on it, and then I have some damage reduction, and life. Very nice if you can get something like this. Um, with the imprint, we're playing the shielding storm, which makes it so that whenever our bone storm damages an enemy, we get barrier, which is insane. Trust me, this makes us pretty much invulnerable. And that's why it would be nice if we can get at least some cooldown reduction, so we have bone storm up often. Especially if you're playing high dungeons. Like if you're pushing high tier, that it becomes more important, right? If you're just leveling and you're chilling, it's not that important. But this one is huge. Yeah. And again, we have Emerald in our shield, so we get more Thorns damage. Um, for our rings, we pretty much want max life as much as we can. Sorry, we want max life as much as we can. We don't really care that much about anything else. And for the imprint, we have so that our bone storm becomes a darkness skill because we want to deal more darkness skills damage, so we can get or shadow damage, so we can proc our what's it called, key passive, Shadow Blight. Other than that, we have some damage to injured enemies, damage slowed, damage over time. If you can get that, that's nice. If you can't, it's fine. Just life is important, pretty much. Secondly, we have this ring, max life, life on kill, damage slowed enemies, and why does this only have 3 stats, you may wonder? Well, that's because this ring is from a rare spawn. And it always spawns with max life, and it always spawns with life on kill, and it always spawns with life when not damaged recently, which is bad. But yeah, um, and you can reroll that ring really cheap because it doesn't sell for a lot of gold, so it's very cheap. And the rare spawn spawns over here, so we're in Sarbinset right now, and this is Blind Burrows, so it's right below Blind Burrows over here. And you can kill that, and you can get a ring with guaranteed health and life on kill, which is nice. Life on kill is actually it's decent to have. Um, and for our imprint here, this is the most important one. As I was talking about, the blighted imprint. We want this one as high as we can. Uh, I have it mid-rolled pretty much, above mid-rolled, but yeah. And then moving on, lastly, to our necklace, we of course want Needle Flare, and as you can see, my Needle Flare is also mid-rolled. It's not the best. I can get 12% more on that one. But this is what I have. It's the best I've found. I have some damage reduction, movement speed, total armor, and depth reach passive. If you can get cooldown reduction on your amulet as well, instead of maybe depth reach, that's great. If you can get something like this, that's great. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much it. And of course we want skulls in our jewelry because we want to get more tankiness. So I'm gonna go into a dungeon. Um, so I'm gonna go into this one. They get lifesteal and it doesn't benefit us. Exactly, it doesn't benefit us. So let's see. And I'm not gonna drink a potion or anything. So I'm gonna do a part without Razorplate equipped, and then I'm gonna do a part with the Razorplate equipped. Damn, that was a long loading screen. And this is what I mean by pulling the monsters, right? So you can like pull the monsters, and you can see I can tank everything here. And by the way, this is without Razorplate, and we don't have a aspect on our gloves or whatever. That's fine. But this is what I mean by pulling. So you can pull like this, and you can stack them on top of like elite packs, which is huge. And you can see I'm pretty much full health all the time. I mean, yeah. Let's see if I can find an elite. And we want to consume corpses because we're playing the legendary, the Paragon node. Oh, and I need to go over the Paragon nodes. My bad, I forgot that. So here we go. Here we have some elites, maybe. Let's see if I can stack them up. So, as you can see, I mean, it's decent damage. It was a champion pack that has the damage reduction thingy. But I mean, it's not bad. This is a tier 37 dungeon. I mean, the mobs are level 91. I'm level 78. Okay, here we go. And you can see it's just melting everything, especially when we're using Bone Storm and we get the bonus damage from our Shadow Blight key passive. It's absolutely huge. And I'm still missing 21% damage, so yeah. So I'm gonna put on Razorplate and I'm gonna go clear, and I'll show you the next part of this dungeon. Alright, so we're moving into the next part of this dungeon now. So the Banshees will show up. This is the annoying part of this dungeon. So let's see. Oh, well, first we gotta do the gauntlet, I guess. But I mean, everything is just dying. Like I can AFK. Even like, as you can see, I'm even healing. Like even like this, the big stone is blasting me. Like I'm still not dying, and that's how incredibly tanky this character is. So I mean, that's when I died, right? With 5 elites and the thing blasting me. That's me not playing the game. So this is really where our damage starts to lack, right? When we're single target. You can see my Thorns is still dealing 75k on that guy, but we really want a lot of monsters so we can get our Needle Flare to proc. That's when this build shines. So sadly, that's another like bad part about this build is the fact that it just doesn't really perform amazing single target wise. Oh my god, of course. I'm gonna equip the bad armor again, and you can see that our Thorns damage is still pretty decent even without Razorplate. You see, I'm dealing 55k on that guy, and I'm not having Razorplate equipped now. But yeah, so we do lack some on the single targets, of course. This guy's not shooting as fast either, but I mean 27k there. I mean it's not amazing, of course, but still kind of good. And this is an annoying dungeon, by the way. I just want to point that out. The spiders are really nice. I mean, they die fast and stuff, but this part of the dungeon is kind of annoying for it's one of the slower dungeons for this build. And this is the reason why. Anyway, so that's clear. This is the I'm using Amplify, Sacrificial, and Territorial. I know you can't see it, but yeah, this is what I'm playing. I'm currently trying to level Scourge. I think that was nice. Or maybe even Revenge. Pretty decent. So lastly, I want to finish this video up by going over the Paragon nodes and the Paragon tree. And this is a mess. I haven't really, what's it called? Like min-maxed this at all. So this is kind of shitty, to be honest. But this is what I'm running right now. So we take the resilience here in the early stage of the Paragon tree. We take the prime for damage as well and some life. We move up here. My first glyph socket is sacrificial. We get more damage when we have no active minions if the bonus is met. And of course we want the requirements to be met there. So we invested in some intelligence here. Went up here, picked up some armor. We took the rare node and we took more armor, and then we have damage. We want flat out damage because that's gonna add to our thorns, which is nice. We move up here. I went with the shadow tree or the wither legendary node tree. In hindsight, I probably should have gone with Scent of Death, to be honest, which is this one. I feel like it would have been a lot better, to be honest. But you know, you learn from your mistakes. When I when I'm not being lazy, I might respect this. But this is what I went with. It's not terrible, but again, we're not dealing that much shadow damage, so it's not really super important. What is nice, however, with this tree is that we get, of course, we get more damage to elites, and that one is going to apply to our thorns, not only our shadow damage. For example, here, we get some more life, potion healing, whatever. But we also get damage reduction from enemies affected by shadow damage. So that is nice with this tree. I went up here, I picked the shadow damage. You know, it's not the best, but whatever. And I went up here and I picked, of course, more shadow damage, and I picked this one. And then we took the glyph, and in this socket we're playing amplify damage, or amplify, sorry, amplify. And again, we want more just damage increase across the board. So, for example, this one, if the bonus is met, it says enemies affected by curse skills take 10 times your damage, increased damage from you and your minions, which is nice. This is gonna apply to our thorns. Very good. Moving up next, we end up here, and we went with Flesh Eater. So we're consuming corpses, and if you stack, so let's say you consume 4 corpses, and then you proc your Shadow Blight key passive, and you consume 1 additional corpse, so 5, and you combine those two, your damage can be absolutely insane with thorns, especially if your needle flare aspect procs as well. You can pretty much one tap elite packs on high, like even high keys. It's very good. It's very good. So this one is nice. I like this one. We took the stifle, and as you can see here, big oof. I'm not even meeting the requirements for 2 of these nodes, so I'm actually missing out on quite a bit here. Um, it's not the end of the world, but of course we wanna meet the requirements. I mean, it's free damage essentially, so we want that. But I was just stressed to get up to this one, which gives us damage reduction from close enemies. It's always nice. I'm not actually sure exactly how much the diminishing return is on damage reduction across the board, since this build has so much, and Necromancer already has so much also like built in. But I took this one. Maybe it works. Maybe it doesn't even work. Whatever. This is what I have. Hopefully, I'm not screwing myself by taking this one. Some damage reduction is always nice, especially if you're going higher, like if you're pushing higher. But obviously, this is not prioritized. Especially not if you decide like if you're gonna play just chill play, this is not prioritized. Then you might want to get like Scourge maybe, which makes that your shadow damage people take more damage or enemies take more damage, or even maybe actually Revenge. But I don't know. I feel like Revenge is kind of troll to have since it makes Thorns damage increase all damage the enemy takes from you and your minions by up to 10% for 10 seconds. Why would you invest in this one? I mean, sure, it has willpower and it also increases the rare nodes, but I don't know, man. Like, you might as well just pick Scourge. I mean, I guess you want it for the rare nodes then, but Scourge instantly gives you 10% damage increase. While this one, it has to ramp up, right? Like, the monsters don't even live for 10 seconds. I don't know. Feels weird. Even this one, I think, is better. I mean, maybe not actually. But anyways, that's what I'm running, and I'm currently leveling up Scourge. Maybe I'll level up Revenge. I'm gonna have to play around more with these ones. Maybe Imbibber, whatever it's called, is even good for more potion healing. Gravekeeper is actually one I think you should pick up, and that is one I will pick up. We're spawning so many corpses, so this is a nice one to have, I think, to be honest. So I think you should aim for Gravekeeper, and I think Territorial is nice, and Sacrificial, and also Amplify. Anyways, that's it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. It was a long one today, but yeah. Um, if you enjoyed, please make sure you like, subscribe, and also if you watch Twitch, please make sure to check out my Twitch at twitch.tv/Dendario. Damn, that's a lot of Twitches. Anyways, have fun with this build. It's not the best in terms of pushing keys maybe, but I mean this is a great season starter and it's definitely very fun, especially when you start getting more comfortable with it and you start getting like more gear and maybe, you know, especially when you find Razorplate, your damage really spikes, but even before that, it's still good. So again, thank you so much, and if you have any questions, just feel free to ask me in the comments or send me a PM. Peace out, everybody.